saw you with your scouts, man.
Yeah, man, get out there. I got out there with them boys, man. I tell you, man, it take a lot out of you. You know, when we're young like that, man, we can run out there with them boys, man.
Yeah.
You know, and come on back in. But shoot,
Mm-hmm.
take a little while to recuperate now.
I know that's right. Yes, sir. Yeah. Look like y'all had a good time, though.
Yeah, man, we went out there and cooked some fish and some hush puppies, and we had something to eat. We had something to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you do any fishing?
No, I don't fish much, man.
You don't fish?
No,
You never did?
I
You
don't
never
listen.
did fish?
I've been out there a little bit with my son when my son was alive, man.
Uh-huh.
I used to go with him out there.
Okay.
He loved to fish, man.
Oh, man. Yeah.
They go fishing at night and everything.
Yes, sir. Man, I love it,
Sam,
man.
Sam Lewis helping me, and he loved to fish.
Mm-hmm.
I think Floyd. I think Floyd liked fishing too, but I just ain't never been able to. I just ain't never got into it like that.
Mm-hmm.
You fish?
Oh, man. Yeah. Shoot. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. I do a lot of fishing, man. I used to go down to the coast. Man, tell me to get on out there, man, and see some of the world, man.
I don't want to do it, bro. You can't make them do nothing. You
You
know how
can't
it
make
is.
you damn sure can't make them do nothing, Joe.
Can't
Yes,
make them
sir.
do nothing, bro.
Man.
I mean, look at the opportunity. I mean, back when I was out there, man, I didn't listen to too much of anything. I made my own decisions too, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have no whole lot of guidance like they got. Like we got,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
we get them. 'Cause
Mm-hmm.
we was
Mm-hmm.
coming up, shoot. My dad won't there, my
Right.
mom won't there, shoot. So I
Yeah.
made
Yeah.
most of my decisions myself.
Right. Right. Yeah. I was the same way,
How's
man.
that going on up there, man? In Fayetteville, man.
Man, these little
They
young.
were doing a curfew up that y'all. What the hell?
Yeah,
With no young people on the block?
it's that bad, Joe.
Man, I saw
It's
that
that
mess.
bad.
I said,
It's that bad, man.
I know you had said something about it at the last part we had.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you see
Young
the
people.
video I sent you?
I think I did. Yeah, that boy had that what do you call
Yeah.
that gun? No, he had a Uzi or something, didn't he?
Fuck yeah,
I don't know
man.
what that thing he had.
Yeah, that was a damn assault rifle. I can tell you that.
I think it was an
but
AK.
but the thing was, man, they were arguing. He got in an argument over a damn parking spot. He had his kids in the this is the way I'm getting. He had his kids in the car with him, right? And he got in an argument with this guy over a damn parking spot.
Damn.
And that's how that shit escalated.
That's all it takes, man, for these kids today, man.
Mm-hmm.
Come out
Mm-hmm.
and start shooting.
They,
So
they
one dude
can't.
was laid up there. I remember the video because I looked at it. One dude laid out, won't he?
Yeah, well, one but two of them, he'd already shot him, man. So
Did he, did he
this
survive?
dude, huh?
Did he survive?
No, he died, man.
Damn.
Yeah, this guy, he, hold on, I'm trying to let me let the guys in. Uh, Smitty.
What's up, fellas?
What's up, Smitty?
Hey, what's going on, Smith?
Bill Jordan.
What's up? What's up?
What's up? What's up, Mr. Jordan?
You, man, the tariffs.
The terror. He damn show up. You got that right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they down one.
Yeah, they definitely up.
They
Yeah, well,
gonna stay up.
yeah, they gonna stay up, man. But yeah, I was telling Joe, me and Joe was talking before y'all came on. I had sent you guys I don't know if you saw the video with this cat that shot this guy last Sunday, I believe it was Sunday morning. Not too far from where I live in an apartment complex over a damn parking spot.
Wow.
I mean, just pulled out one of them assault rifles, man, and he got in an argument with him and shot the guy, and he died. The guy was 35 years old that he shot, and I think the guy that shot him was probably about 18 years old, man. We got a curfew now in Fayetteville, not related to that incident, but Now, man, any kids under I think it's under 18 got to be in the house by 9 o'clock. That's how bad it is around here.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Something else, man. I don't know. I don't know. Just all these young guys, man. They don't know. Don't know how to settle conflict. Everything has to lead to some kind of extreme violence. Um, my grandson, he's 15, and he was talking to me the other day. He wanted to learn how to box. I said, "What you need?" He got a black belt in Taekwondo. I said, "What?" I said, "Well, it's good to be able to use your hands."
Right.
Well, yeah, he takes 15. Yeah, these niggas always running up on me and all that. I said, "Look, man, you can't fight these days.
Right.
These boys don't know how to fight, man. If you fight them and you beat them, you got to watch your back for the rest of your time. Anytime you go out on the streets, man. So it's just
Exactly.
best to try to avoid that kind of mess. It ain't like it was, Joe, when we was coming up.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we're going the battlefield and get the fighting up in there.
Oh yeah, man, get your ass whooped and come on out, man. Everything good.
There you
I
go.
know.
You learn to deal with conflict.
Yeah, yeah. Joe,
You
I
learn,
remember. What you think, Smitty?
you learn how to de-escalate conflict too.
Yeah, yeah. Joe, I remember one Saturday, man. We met you guys over at Henderson Junior High School, man, playing that, the old regular sandlot football.
Yeah.
You was with Bob Davis and a bunch of your guys, and we coming from Flint Hill. And me and Bob Davis got into a fight out there, man. And Bob had me pinned down, man, had my arms to my side, sitting on me, man, beat me to a pulp, man.
And Bob was a
But I
man.
but I reached around and grabbed a handful of nuts and I got him up off of me. But even after that, man, hey, we still we
Y'all
still
still
talk after that, man. But these guys, man, they just can't go on after something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I
These
don't
guys
know.
will tell you, man. And then most of the time, the mess that's happening these days, man, it ain't about nothing. Just like you were saying, the guy, a parking spot, a guy
Oh,
laying dead because of a
yeah,
parking spot.
yep, yep. That's
Don't
right.
make sense.
That's right.
It's angry for no man.
Yeah. And again, man, I question. I think I asked you guys this before. I mean, I don't play video games. Call of Duty. What's this other stuff these guys play? With the cars.
Yeah.
Uh, Grand Theft Auto and all of that. I see my grandson playing it, and if I go by and look over their shoulders when they playing it, somebody's always got a gun or something out.
Yeah.
Something going on. So I don't know if it's these games that these guys sit there and play and they arguing the whole time they playing these games. Fortnite, I've seen them play Fortnite and it's
Right.
all shooting rifles and just arguing and carrying on. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't know.
But we got a violent society. We've always had a violent society,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes to the forefront sometimes with our children, but it's instilled early. I know I had a thing about giving my grandsons even toy guns because society itself.
Mm-hmm. Smitty freezing up on his bed last week. He froze up again.
Yeah.
See if he come back.
Well, one of the things that really brought home to me about peaceful conflict resolution was my granddaughter was going to a Quaker school in New Jersey. I went up there, grandparents there, I went up there to see how they operated. And I saw the children, these were children, they'd being taught to peacefully resolve conflict. And I was watching them on the swing. And when one person's turn came on the swing, well, Cheryl, it's my turn on the swing. Okay, I'll stop and give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. That took me back to public elementary school that I went to.
Mm-hmm.
There was no such thing as that. All we knew how to do was to violently resolve conflict. Uh, if you was in a sandbox and arguing about who could get the sand to make a sand house, that would end up in a tussle.
Mm.
If uh, if you were in line, if you were going to buy a snow cone at the corner store, who was in line to get the snow cone? You might end up fighting over who was first, and all you were doing was determining who would step up to get a snow cone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked at that. I said, "Wow, I wish we had learned peaceful conflict resolution when I was coming up."
Mm-hmm.
There was no, and like Mr. Smith said, Leonard said, man, all the movies, cowboy movies. I mean, how many
Yeah.
times did we watch uh, Gene Autry and Tex Ritter kill 700 Indians and never reload their pistols?
Long Ranger.
We saw this. Of all the movies we saw, Fast Draw, how do you resolve a conflict?
Mm.
Here at 12 o'clock on the street, the movie High Noon,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Gunfight on K Corral,
Mm-hmm.
all of
John,
the, and then we came to the movie John Dillinger,
right?
Mad Dog Cole, Machine Gun Kelly. And even if we look at movies today, man, there's a series on today, and I just sit back and say what Leonard said. How can we expect our kids not to be violent in what they see?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, unless we as parents teach them differently, like you said, you were going to do with your grandson. Tell him, man, there's no reason to learn to box.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Learn to do what the teacher asked us to do,
Yeah.
which is to peacefully resolve misunderstandings.
Mm-hmm.
Learn
Yeah.
how to do that. I can recall being in the Pentagon in the executive lunchroom. A friend of mine's wife was a principal at a school. She brought some kids there to talk to us, and one of the kids was talking about how he was going to resolve conflict. If you fight me, it wasn't like you and Joe said in the background,
Mm-hmm.
the battlefield. You fight and you come on out and y'all friends. After that, this is resolved.
Right.
No, he said if somebody beat him in a fight, he was going to kill
Oh yeah.
And he meant that.
him. That's what I almost fell out the chair. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Smith was right. We live in a society that cherishes violence.
Mm.
Yeah. And not just violent, but aggressive. I'm gonna tell you, I'm over here, and the traffic here is crazy, right? But just let you know, they have a traffic circle where you have to weave in a figure eight, and you'll see 4 cars abreast, and the people traverse it every day, never an accident. They'll let you in. There's nobody pushing and shoving. If you're trying to merge anywhere in the United States and there's a merge, even of just 2 cars merging, traffic will be backed up forever because we as a society in America, we are trained to just be aggressive about everything. There's no deferring to anyone to let you into anything. You just see it everywhere else in society. Wherever you're at, there's somebody always pushing, trying to get ahead of the other person, even if it's only going to put you 1 car length ahead. It
That's
doesn't
right.
matter. Things. But over here, you can have 1,000 cars in a traffic circle and they will merge safely because people defer and let them in. And it's a mindset. It's a
Mm-hmm.
mind that goes in, it permeates everything that we do.
Mm. Wow. Wow.
Mr. Smith, Leonard, sometimes I think it goes a little bit further than that. All of us value life because we were in the military. I can recall a commander, one of my commanders shared with me, asked me what I thought when they stopped the draft, and we need to reinstitute the draft. And I told him no. But when I thought about it, I thought he was right, that we should reinstitute the draft. Because one thing you learn from war is if you survive that, you value life.
Mhm.
You, the minute you take that oath to support and defend the Constitution, and you know that you might be put in a situation that's violent, you value life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And one of the problems, I don't think a lot of young people don't value life.
Mm-mm. No.
Uh, 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 when when many of their friends are dead by 25, how can they think about living to be your age, Chester?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Or your age, Leonard, or your age, Joe?
Hmm.
Yeah, they don't think they're far ahead.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what, Bill? I like that. Because we all veterans, and veterans, when you go into the military, they tell you this thing called "hurry up and wait."
Mm.
And I know y'all probably done heard that before,
Oh, Jesus.
but we're programmed in the military. You standing in line, to get your gear when you first go to boot camp. One after the other, you stand in line to get your your shots that you got to get when you go into the military. You know, you stand in line to go get chow. Everything you do is like a robot in the military. It ain't nobody jumping line. It ain't no all you can eat buffet up in there like that. You got to stand in line to get your food. You know,
Right.
that's the way it is. Once you come out of the military, it's a whole different thing. But while you're in there, you're programmed like that. Most vets are, and I like that when you said about veterans, and also going up. When you're talking about these kids are going straight to 9 millimeters and Uzis and AK-47s, assault rifles. They're trying to get those banned, but that ain't gonna work. These people that's getting all this money from these assault rifles and stuff, they're not gonna let that happen.
No.
So uh, when we were growing up, you know, if you had a little money, you got introduced to a BB gun.
Mm.
You
Right.
put the BBs down in there, and then if you had a little bit extra money, you may get a pump BB gun. You know what I mean? I had a pump BB gun, and then if you even had a little bit better than that, you had a pellet rifle.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? But when you go in there and fire that M16, is a whole different ball game from all that them BB guns and all that stuff. But
Hmm.
our parents entrusted in us to do the right thing with guns. But today, it's out of control.
Yeah.
Out of control.
Um,
Yeah.
They don't want that. I don't even think they sell BB guns no more.
Mm.
I haven't seen any. They may be somewhere in there, but I haven't seen them.
Hmm.
So, I got a son that I lost in 2017 to gun violence, and a lot of times it has a lot to do with
Yeah, please.
it's some female that they messing with. Females be messing them up too, and their heads get messed up with some of these girls, and uh, somebody get jealous, and somebody got the lead on them, and they don't like it, and that's why my son in 2017 he got shot over that same thing because he told he before he got shot and killed me and him had a conversation. And I told him, I said, man, he said, I hope I don't never meet up with this guy I found out she was messing with. And
Mm.
and he said, I hope I don't never meet up with him. And then a couple of nights afterwards, I got that conversation that no parent wants to get, and my son was quiet, and he didn't get into a
Right.
whole lot of people. He didn't run with a whole lot of people and stuff. And uh, somebody didn't like it, and they shot and killed him. There were three of them, and one of them
Mm.
was a youngster,
Mm.
Wow.
and they pulled time. And everybody was like, "Well, Mr. Brody, uh, what you ain't gonna take action against them boys?" I said, "Man, you know what? I pray for them kids because if they go in that penal system, when
Right.
they get out, you know, what are they gonna do? Nothing. They
Nothing.
they could probably go back.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because society is not set up to receive. Some companies and some uh, will let you in and welcome in people with felons
Hmm.
and violence, like Leonard was saying, uh,
Mhm.
with violent things on their record. But a lot of companies won't even open the door for you to get in. You know,
Hmm.
and so I said these kids are, you know what I mean.
Right.
What good is it? And then I wind up being up in there. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And part of that society is designed because they want people in the penal system because they're making money off it. They're
yeah,
actually there's a penal industry, um, so to speak. For matter of fact, when I was working for the government, we bought furniture from them. They built all kinds of different things, and it's basically slave labor that they get you in there. You do a crime, and then you're working for pennies on the dollar
Hmm.
for rest of life.
Yeah.
Free slavery.
Yep.
Well,
That's right.
kind
And
of
our young,
back to
they don't get it. They don't
no,
understand.
they don't get it. They don't get it at all. You know what I mean? It ain't
Hmm.
no joke in there and when you get out, you can't find you can't get a job, and if you got any kids or something, and this girl she on you all the time about, hey, look, you gonna take care of these kids, and how you gonna take care of them? And the
You
only
can't
other
do
way,
it.
the only way you can do it is try to go up there and sell some dope.
Hmm.
And then
Sell
you
some
back
dope, then you're going back in there anyway.
Yeah.
right.
Yep. That's right.
That's fact.
Yep. What you about to say, Bill?
well, I was just going to share that uh, other than value in life, one of the things that being in the military, having a draft does is puts us face to face with diversity and makes us appreciate diversity.
Hmm.
When we stop the draft, uh, a lot of people didn't stop having
Interaction with folks.
interaction with the people from diverse backgrounds.
You're
Uh,
right.
but the draft put us in, and the military put us in. I mean, you had everybody in there,
Yeah.
and you learned to get along with them some kind of way to get the mission done.
Hmm.
Right.
So when you don't have that, uh, you have people go off into groups, uh, and and I don't know, Chester, you might know this better than me. I don't know if we had separate groupings in the squadron we were in. Uh, Sometimes I'd get that sense, but other times I saw great cooperation. When a mission had to be done,
Hmm.
there, there was cooperation.
Yeah.
Uh, I, I just think that having a draft and bringing people from different backgrounds together forces you to deal with diversity. The way it is now, when you in, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Mhm.
Uh, how do you prepare young people to deal with the future of this country?
Mm.
Uh, in
Right.
the county I'm in, the number of the percentage of non-whites in the district schools now is something like 48% in the
Mm.
public schools.
Hmm.
Now, this is in a semi-rural county in Virginia that historically had been, well, it still is. It's a very conservative county.
Right.
So how, without DEI, how do you get, how do you, how do you prepare students to be good citizens who will know how to deal with people of diverse backgrounds?
Mhm.
Uh,
Well, Bill, you said it at a meeting, and I want to commend you for saying that. About the fact that a lot of this and this administration in itself has one African American in the whole administration right there.
Right.
One African American man, and I guess he African American. He brown, you know. But you said it. A lot of this revolve. They want to go back in time. They don't want black people, to even exist.
Exactly.
They don't even want us in this on the same platform they on. You know what I mean? And anybody that have achieved anything is taught out, and it all revolves to what you said, Bill. Race.
Mr. Brody, I wanted to acknowledge you and thank you. I saw some pictures of the work you're doing with young people in the Boy Scouts,
Hmm.
Mhm.
and I think that's very important work that you're doing because at least we may not be getting a lot of them, but at least we're getting some of them, and
Right.
that's very important work that you're doing in the Scouts.
I
I want
appreciate
to thank you for that.
it. It's
Mhm.
rough. Chester tells me about it all the time, man. He calls me on it all the time, and it gives me a will to go on because at this age uh, that we are, we move slow. We trying to keep up with them young boys, but we try to keep up with them. And, man, it take. And I told Chester, I was like, man, it takes me 3-4 days, man, after going out on one of those uh, missions with them boys, man, setting up tents and breaking down tents and blowing up air mattresses and all that carrying on and doing and taking them camping and going fishing with them and all that stuff. Man, I can't keep up with them guys.
Mhm.
But
Adjust your camera, Joe.
huh?
All I can see is top of your head.
Oh, okay. It takes a lot out of you, but you know what? When y'all say stuff like that, it gives me a will to move to keep on doing what I'm doing. Somebody is like this girl tell me all the time. She said somebody got to do it.
Somebody got to do it, Joe.
Somebody got
Better.
to do it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
is very important. When I saw the pictures of you with the troop, it took me back to my days as a Boy Scout. I'll be honest, I didn't get past second class. I never made first class, and they kicked me out of the troop because I couldn't learn Morse code or semaphore. And the tragic part about that was when I enlisted in the Air Force, I became a Morse intercept operator. I learned so so. But I always loved being in the Scouts.
Hmm.
I saw that it built companionship between. The funny thing about it is that some of the baddest dudes in the city were in the same Boy Scout troop with us. So when we became older teenagers and were out doing the mess, we never separated from the fact that we were members of Troop 508.
Mm. Mm,
I tell
I
you the
mean, so
truth.
you could be getting ready to do to be in big trouble. You understand what I mean?
Mhm.
mm-hmm,
And one of the guys who was running the other group say, no, he's from 508.
mm,
And because we remember the camping trips and stuff we went on, stuff we did, you know.
mm-hmm.
Now, Rob makes a difference.
Yeah.
So so that was a way of uh, bringing us together from different communities in the same truth,
Mm-hmm.
learning to love and respect each other.
Yeah.
I guess building what we call building
Yeah,
relationships.
that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That is it right there. You know what I mean?
Bill, I don't know if you got my message I sent you about this FAA thing. You being a pilot, and can you break it down to us a little bit? What possibly, what's going on here?
Well, what happens when years ago when I trained to be a pilot, and many of the guys who trained with me and the guys who trained before me, yeah, you were taught as a pilot to know how to do the mission. We didn't depend on radar traffic controllers. Uh, Air traffic controller is a communicator, not an aviator. I'm an aviator.
Mm-hmm.
You taught that's what you're taught. But it's very expensive to train a pilot to do all that. So you go into the commercial world where you have this system, where you have radar control and all that. And the guys, even some guys that were trained like me, you get lazy. You
Right.
start depending on air traffic control. And and you depend on automatic systems and you forget that you are still responsible for the safety of the mission and safety of all those people on board and for the safety of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, One of the things that I saw a movie the other day about Sully, the guy who landed that airplane in the Hudson Bay,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean Hudson River,
Right.
and he held it together and did what he was supposed to do. Now you know some people could say, well, uh, he shouldn't have been hit by the birds. He could have avoided the birds, but he got hit by them.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
He took it from there, and he he did things to save the lives of all those people, which showed me that's what you're supposed to. And the thing is, you can't get lazy. You can't get lazy if you fly in airplanes. Air traffic controllers are put under a lot of stress because there are not enough of them, and sometimes they are handling. Man, you go in some of these airports. When I used to fly in the States,
mm-hmm.
if you're going into JFK and you miss one call from the controller, they send you out over the Atlantic Ocean to hold, and you
Wow.
get your stuff together.
Is that right?
You go into Rhein-Main, Germany, Frankfurt, Germany,
Mm-hmm.
you miss one call, you up there holding at some place until you get your stuff together.
Mm,
Same going into LA. You go into LA, you mess up, they kick you out and have you out over the desert holding.
mm,
But it becomes overwhelming because they have a lot of airplanes. I don't think they have enough controllers. Many times the federal government is slow bringing in more modern equipment just because of the acquisition process.
mm-hmm.
Um, and maybe it would be better if they made the airlines pay for air traffic control services. I don't know if they have to pay for it. I think when I was coming along, air traffic control was free.
Right.
Hmm.
It was a government provided service. Well, and then the final thing I would say is that to train pilots to the degree that you would train a military pilot, civilians, man, training costs expensive. So they may not be trained. In some ways, they might be trained at a different level, but they may not. The guys may rely a lot on automated systems. When I flew C9s, aeromedical evacuation, well, most of the airplanes I flew, I had to know all the systems.
Hmm.
Mm,
I mean, know them back and forth. If this happens, this is what that means. How can you get around that?
right.
This is what this means.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know, and you're constantly quizzed on that. You know what I mean? It's not like you just learn it one time and that's it.
Hmm.
I
Mm,
don't know if they do that same kind of training in in the commercial airlines. I don't know because I never was in there.
Hmm.
mm,
Uh, I know that when that accident happened at DCA, where the Army helicopter hit the killed all those, hit the airline and killed the people.
Hmm.
First thing I did was I called two guys that I knew that flew for commercial airlines and asked them about it. And both of them said to me, see and avoid. They asked me what I would do, what I would have done. I told them, if the controller asked me to circle to that other runway at night after I've been flying all day, I'd have told him no, I wasn't going to do it. I'm landing at 01.
mm,
I don't care if you have to slow down all the traffic in the world. That's the app. That's the runway I'm landing on. I'm not going to fly some circling approach.
Mm.
That's just
right.
me. Uh, uh, so I don't know.
I heard they had another near miss at the same airport last week.
Yeah, well, this is what one of the guys told me about. And when I told him what I would do, he laughed. He said, "How did you know to do that?" I said, "Man, I guess because I'm lazy. You know, I might be lazy."
Hmm.
But he said, and the other thing I thought was, why should you ever have a helicopter coming down that way? If you go into
Right.
Belvoir, why don't you go down 95?
Mm.
Because I've been to Davidson Field before. I mean, you could leave the Pentagon, go right down 95. Why are you swinging around by Bowling, coming down by Hayes Point, Bowling, and all that stuff to go down the Potomac River when when you have when you have airplanes coming in, landing at them runways, landing at the runway where the guy circle a land and landing on runway one,
Mm.
coming
Mm,
across Woodrow Wilson Bridge.
Hmm.
So for me, uh, how to be safe, don't fly, don't fly that route.
Mm.
And I don't know what they're going to eventually say, but it's to me, it's kind of crazy uh, to be flying in a busy area at night doing a training mission.
Hmm. Right.
mm.
Right.
What's the big
That's-
game? And I'm talking about the helicopter now. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, I mean, um, so for me, that's all I thought was, and I know that they don't have enough controllers, and controllers are overworked because a guy from my neighborhood was an air traffic controller, and he died young from a heart attack.
Mm.
Mm,
Paid big money, but he died early.
Hmm.
So those guys work under a lot of stress and strain, and
yeah.
the ones who survive are the ones who rise to be supervisors.
Mm.
See,
Yeah.
if you just stay being I'm not going to use the military term, but if you stay just a person on the scope,
Hmm.
I mean, you know, that's rough.
Oh yeah.
And
Mhm.
imagine the mental stress it puts them under if they don't have an accident, but they have 2 or 3 near misses.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They got it bad down there in New Jersey down that way now.
Oh
It
yeah.
is bad. It is really bad now. They don't have enough people down there to eat. One guy, I think the other day, I read about a guy that he was one of the air controllers said that he was his screen went blank for an hour or something. I don't know if he said it was quite that long, but he said his whole screen just went blank. He didn't even know where the planes was at
Mm.
for that amount of time.
Mm.
I said, man, that is the most dangerous, frightening thing I ever heard in my life. Like that.
Hear me to death. And then you got Department of Transportation Secretary who has no idea how to fix it because he has no idea what he's doing.
No.
I'm wondering, does this have anything to do with what's going on? All these incompetent folks that Trump has come in and shook up, messing around with Elon and firing people and all of this crap. You reckon this got something to do with it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I think what they're trying to do is make all these federal agencies look incompetent so they can come in and swoop in and buy them up themselves. They say, hey, we want to go. I've seen some writings where they say, hey, this needs to be commercial, this needs to be commercial. And they got all these billionaires trying to buy up all these industries themselves so
Mm.
they can make. That's the goal. So the goal is to make everything. Trump did it last time, even with the post office. When he was in, he put a guy in there, and suddenly your mail was coming a week later or something like that. As soon as he left, mail went back to the way it was supposed to be.
And the same
Mm.
And
guy just got fired. That guy
yeah,
was the head of the mail service.
right, right.
Mhm.
And that's what they're trying to do is they're trying to make all these government agencies look inefficient, so that including Social Security, so that they can all swoop in with their billions of dollars and buy it up and say, okay, we're going to turn it commercial, and then they're going to make profit. If you remember way back with Dick Cheney and Rumsfeld, they did that. They tried to do that with even the military, because remember they tried to make most of the bases that were non-flying bases contract, and it
Mm.
worked great for like about 2 years. And then when they redid the contract, they found out that the prices were astronomical because all these guys were making crazy amounts of money, and they weren't even efficient. They had in Altus, they had a C5, they
Mm.
C5, and then they ended up having to ground the entire fleet and send in a bunch of blue suiters to fix the planes because the contract didn't work, because they didn't know how to do the contract. They didn't know who to hire. They were hiring guys off the street instead of military mechanics. So
Mm.
that's what it's all about. It's all about making money for billionaires.
You know, it's
Mhm.
funny you say that, Leonard, because uh, earlier they said that Donald Trump was going to put the whole United States up for sale.
He's doing it.
he's trying to
That's
put he's trying to put everything up because he's trying to tear it all down. So that somebody can come out from the out, like you said, from the outside to take over it all.
He's already got his boys, the same ones that were sitting around when he got inaugurated, the same guys that be hanging out at Mar-a-Lago. They're all deciding what piece they want. It's just he's gonna turn it into Russia. That's what Russia has. That's why Russia's inefficient, because you got all these rich folks that own pieces of the government, and they stealing the money off the top. Because if I got a government contract, that's guaranteed money. I'm taking that money off the top, even if I don't do anything.
Mhm. Right.
If
You don't even hear about Elon Musk though. Look how much money he done stole.
absolutely, he
You don't
tried to
even hear
steal.
you don't even hear his name no more. They said he was leaving, and that was it.
Right.
Yeah.
Still behind the scenes trying to make money, because remember, he still got all these government contracts. Matter of fact, I just saw where Trump is trying to force all these all these countries that he has tariffs on to buy the Starlink program that Elon Musk has and utilize that as part of the deal for him.
Wow.
It's a big heist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
You was talking about those aircraft. You see those two F-35s in the last couple of weeks that just fell off the aircraft carrier
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
into the Black Sea.
Yeah.
$70 million they say them things cost.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That is correct.
That is really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
it,
And then Secretary of Defense is now trying to cut 20% of all the flag officers. He wants to cut 20% for no reason. He didn't say where. He's just gonna cut it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy, man.
I like it, bro.
Absolutely crazy.
After all this money they done put into bombing Yemen or whatever, now they're saying they're not gonna mess with them no more. They're gonna let Israel do the dirty work.
Hmm.
But Yemen has always been one of those things that it's one of those things, one of those shiny objects. Whenever we have a problem, and I'll say both Democrat and Republican, whenever we have a problem, we bomb Yemen, and it takes all the vision off of something else that they do. And that's always it's a go-to. If you look over the history of time, we done bombed Yemen probably 20 times.
Mm.
let me share with you, gentlemen, the experience I had this weekend. This past weekend, the county NAACP down here called a town meeting, and when we got there, the first song they played was "God Bless the USA."
That's Donald Trump song.
I sat down, and I have to confess, I sat down and tears came to my eyes. I couldn't hold them back because that used to be when I was on active duty one of my favorite songs until I learned about the composer of the
Right,
lyrics,
right.
Lee Greenwood.
Mhm.
No. So then, and then it's become the anthem of MAGA.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Who is Lou what you call you was talking about, Bill?
Lee
Big
Green,
green
Lee Greenwood is a country and western singer. He composed a song
one. Mm-hmm.
and he sings it.
Right.
But at Scott, when I first heard it, we had a brother, a black man that was singing.
right.
But when I learned about Lee Greenwood and what he was doing, I didn't want to hear it. So when I heard the song, it just put me present to what Jeremiah Wright said that he got condemned for when he was talking about people saying God bless America.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He said God damn America.
Oh
Mhm.
Lord.
Yep.
People got mad at him
Right.
for saying that without understanding what the preacher was talking about.
Mm.
This started off this town hall for the NAACP, and then I had to do the Pledge of Allegiance where it says, one nation under God. And I'm thinking, would God allow us to separate children from their parents?
Mm-mm.
No.
Would God allow us to deport a 4-year-old who's having cancer treatment where he can't get no more cancer treatment?
Mm.
Is this
Mm.
what God would tell us to do?
No.
Would God tell us not to let migrants in our country, refugees in our country? Didn't he destroy Sodom and Gomorrah because they refused to let the refugees in who turned out to be angels and what
Mm.
they planned to do to them?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking all of this, and I started to get up and leave, but my spirit told me, don't leave.
Right.
Spirit told me, don't leave.
But you know, Bill, they try
And
to take God out of it though, Bill. They try to
yeah,
take God out of the
Well, you can't. They can take God out of that, but they can't take him out of me.
No.
Yeah.
I know.
But let me just finish. So what happened was the U.S. representative Eugene Vindman, who's Ukrainian, he's a representative who I supported winning in our district because he's a Democrat.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Got
one of
up
his
to speak.
twin brother.
Yeah, he
Okay.
got up to speak, and he was speaking, and questions came, and people were asking him what I call uh, questions that weren't. So my spirit told me to get up and ask him. I got up and asked him to define racism,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
and he defined it. He defined it in a pretty good manner. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he said it was a system in which one group was required to be treated differently than another group on the basis of color.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But then he said something that, as he went on to talk more, he said, "We're a nation of immigrants."
Exactly.
I jumped up waving my hand, and he said he had to go, but he signaled to me that he would answer me outside.
Hmm.
And I knew Venman because me and him had met before. I went outside. I told him in front of a few people out there gathering. You know how people gather to see if me and this congressman gonna have argument. I said, you refer to our nation as a nation of immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
I said, my ancestors were not immigrants.
Mm.
They were captives.
Mm.
They were brought here as captives and enslaved. So then he tried to waffle. He said, involuntary, well, they were involuntary immigrants. I said, no, no, Congressman. They were captives. And if you want to know the impact of that, he said, I went to the African American Museum in Washington, D.C. I said, you need to go to the African American Museum in Montgomery, Alabama, and then you'll cry like I cried.
Mm.
Said, please don't refer to us, this country, as a nation of immigrants. I said that because of my black ancestors.
Right.
I don't have any Native American blood in my DNA. But when you say we're a nation of immigrants, not only do you dismiss black folks getting here, you say the country didn't have no people when the Europeans landed, and it was full of indigenous people.
Oh,
Mm.
absolutely.
So when you say we're a nation of immigrants, you just exclude them. You
Right.
exclude my ancestors and you exclude indigenous people.
Mhm.
I get tired of people saying, if I hear a black person say that, I say what I say to Vindman. Anybody that I hear say that, no. When you do that, you disrespect the indigenous people and the descendants of Africans enslaved in the United States of America.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what I am. I'm a descendant of Africans enslaved in the United States of America.
Mhm. Yeah.
And just
And I didn't come here as my folks didn't come here as immigrants.
mm-mm.
Mhm.
No.
So
It's to hit on that too, Colonel, what you said about him saying he went to the African American Museum. Well, one of the reasons I've gone, and if anybody only hasn't gone, uh, when they take you there, they take you in the basement. So when they take you down there, it's like they taking you into the bottom of a slave ship. That's the concept behind it. Well, when I go, I take this young lady that I was dating, and while we're walking, I'm telling her about things that I learned from Miss Ann Jones, who was my social studies teacher in the 6th grade. And I was telling her about Toussaint L'Ouverture. Lo and behold, when we get to the bottom, who's the first statue down there? Toussaint L'Ouverture. Mm-hmm. The reason, and this is why they don't want
it to be taught of Black history, the real Black history. Hey, Martin did what he did, Malcolm did what he did, and them guys did what they did, but they're not talking about the people who actually laid the foundation for them. People like Toussaint. The reason they started handcuffing and putting shackles on the Africans that they were bringing on the shit from Africa was because of people like Toussaint. Because when they opened them ship doors, Toussaint was running. You know, them cats was running. They was taking off. Like, you're not keeping me. Right? I done went through all this. I done went through this cold water. I done traveled for days and days on this cold water. It's cold in this bottom here. When you let me out, I'm gone. So after that, they started putting shackles on me.
I had the privilege of going to Ghana, a place called Elmina, a slave castle over there. And I could show you, I have some pictures of it when we were in Ghana, the slave castle, where they took the slaves in, the captives in, the males, the floor was you're chained together at foot, and the sword at an angle like this. So if you buck, all they do is knock the people down, and since you're chained, you pull everybody else down into that hovel. And I swear, it was almost like we could still smell the human beings there. But the worst place to go was where they took the women. The women were put in a separate cell, and above the cell was a balcony for the governor of that slave castle. And he could walk out, and he would point at a girl, and she would have to go up there and sexually pleasure the governor. If she didn't, a ball was put around her foot where she couldn't move. And all the other girls would be getting food and stuff. The ladies would get food and stuff. But she couldn't get no food. She'd have to starve. And then you go down through the door of no return. And it's a young lady who's a writer now on blackness named Alexis Gums. I have a picture of her after she went to the door of no return and came back. She was crying. You can see the tears coming down her face. But when you go there and see that, you realize how brutal it was. What was even worse was go to Kumasi, which was the kingdom, the head of the kingdom of the Ashanti people. And me and this brother from California were in there. We were learning about Ashanti kings, and they pulled out a gold-plated musket that the British gave to the Ashanti king.
Wow.
And when me and the brother saw that, me and him broke down, because you know what we knew? The British gave him that gold-plated musket because he had supplied them with slaves to take on the Middle Passage. All of a sudden discovered that I went to Africa thinking, well, a white man raided these villages and got the people. He didn't have to do that. No, he didn't do that. I read an Arab. I went to the slavery museum in Ghana and read what an Arab said. The Arab said slaves were easier to get than cattle. Slaves were easier to get than cattle. And that affected my whole visit to Ghana, because when they said, "Hi, brother, how you doing?" I thought about Antoine Fisher when he saw his mother. Didn't you ever think about me? Didn't you ever wonder what happened to me? I'm a good person. Remember Antoine asking his mother that?
Yeah.
That's what I asked these brothers. I come here, I'm your brother. Didn't you ever worry about what happened to my ancestors?
And a lot of